Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing? All right, listen. Drink, coffee, snack, whatever it is that you need in order to get through, grab it. We're going to be talking about something that I never thought people would need in order to come here. So, it's travel advisories. It's so strange, right? Before we get into it though, hey there, my name is Autumn, and on this channel we talk about prepping, homesteading, gardening, and we also dig into some current events. On my other channel, ABG Prepping, we talk about current events. I have a Patreon, and over there we talk about stuff that we can't talk about here due to YouTube's terms and policies. So, there are recent travel advisories from Canada and several European countries reflecting growing concerns about crossing the U.S. border. And this is driven by stricter immigration enforcement and high-profile incidents of detentions. So here's a clear picture based on available information that I pulled from very public resources. Okay, so you see this? It says Canadians and other countries are telling everyone to stay away from the United States. They say that trying to get across the border is a nightmare. Well, why though? I don't, it just doesn't make sense to me. A lot of people come here. We have snowbirds that come here to Florida that are Canadians because they have summer homes here. So what, right? What's the problem? So here are like some actual facts, okay? So U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents have a broad authority to search electronic devices like phones and laptops without a warrant, with only 0.01% of travelers searched in 2024, but high consequences like device seizure or entry denial for non-compliance. All right, well, I'm sure if I went to another country, they would do the same thing to me. So if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to hide. So what's the big deal? Travelers staying over 30 days must register with U.S. authorities starting April 11, 2025, or face fines and misdemeanor charges. Individual border agents have significant discretion, and denial of entry can lead to detention pending deportation. Specific cases like Canadian Jasmine Mooney's 12-day detention in March 2025 while renewing a work visa have heightened fears. European advisories. Countries like Germany, the UK, Ireland, Denmark, Finland, and France have issued similar warnings. Germany updated its advisory after citizens faced detentions, noting that even valid visas or ESTA approvals don't guarantee entry. The UK warns of potential arrest or detention for breaking entry rules, citing a tourist detention at the US-Canada border. Ireland and others highlight issues for transgender travelers. Really? As U.S. policy requires visa ESTA applications to reflect biological at birth. So, because I did hear that they were putting an X, but I guess that's not the thing now, right? So France advises consulting embassies due to rapidly changing entry rules after a researcher was denied entry over critical messages about Trump found on his phone. So why the warnings? Stricter enforcement? Since this administration's second term began, policies have tightened. But then again, look at what what we were going through. Look at what other countries are going through. So, you can't really place blame, I mean, who the hell wants to allow criminals in? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we have to have vetting, especially for those from other countries like Afghanistan, Iran, or, things like that. I'm sure every country does that, but I mean, if it's just a family of 4 going, on a trip, they're not going to, be so abrasive with you, I mean, there are high profile incidents, um, but, it was like unpredictability and whatnot, but I'm sure those are just, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it has to do with political climate. Absolutely. The trade wars and things like that. But it's just to keep the bad elements out. I think that is the main thing. Is there going to be impact on travel? Well, yeah, absolutely. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, they have reported like a 17%-ish drop in travelers crossing from Canada in March of 2025. So it's like a 32% decline in car trips across the border. Air Canada, they said that there was like a 10% drop in U.S. flights bookings. So, I mean, I can see where there's going to be some people who are scared, but if you don't have bad intentions, then what the hell are you afraid of? You know what I mean? But is this a nightmare? Well, I don't know. While terms like nightmare appear, like in public sentiment on like social media and stuff like that, the situation varies. Most crossings remain routine, but the risk of scrutiny is higher for certain groups, but the rare but severe cases of detention amplifies fears, and lawyers advise minimizing border crossings or using burner phones to avoid social media scrutiny. So the U.S. officials, they argue that strict enforcement protects national security and entry is a privilege, it's not a right. But actual device searches are statistically very rare. I will say that.
Canadian friends, I thought the media was exaggerating, but they're not. If you can avoid going to the US, do it. Because I just crossed the borders after 2 hours of being interrogated on the most meaningless stuff. I got my car checked. I had to hand in my phone, my password. I had to text my friend. I was told to text my friend before I give my phone in front of the agent to tell her to pick up, because Homeland Security was trying to reach her. Before leaving, they asked how they can find me on all of my social medias, where I work, my LinkedIn. So it's just not a fun experience. Like, I don't feel comfortable with agents having access to like my photos, other conversations. Like, you can't do anything. You just have to give them what they want. So yeah, I'm going to see a friend in Boston before she moves to Europe. So still worth the hassle. But honestly, if you can avoid traveling, like, TikTok is not lying. TikTok is not lying. Like, these people at the borders are not messing around, and they have no sense of humor.
So with this video that I just showed you, okay, the video aligns with reports of heightened border security under this administration's crackdowns, okay? The U.S. policies now include mandatory registration for stays over 30 days, or you get fines for noncompliance, right? But look what Canada's doing. Look what they did to the Amish, for crying out loud. All because they didn't have smartphones to have an app. You know, I mean, you want to go tit for tat, I can do that, you know. But European countries like Germany, the UK, they have issued similar warnings as well, citing cases for tourists detained for weeks, like a British backpacker who was held for, I think it was like 3 weeks at the US Canada border. Um, but the video and its context reflect like a border trend of declining US tourism, with economics revising like 2025's visits forecast from like a 5% raise to a 9% drop due to polarizing US politics. Not everything is based on politics, for crying out loud. Some people just don't have the friggin' money anymore. You know what I mean? Um, but social media, the vetting at borders has increased, and it's because it needs to be done. You know, um, but you know, every country needs to do this. Okay, but like I said, if you are just an innocent family of four that's going to be taking your kids on a summer vacation, you're you're not going to be bothered. You know what I mean? It's just the way that it is. Anyway, um, and if you have no intention on committing crimes, why do you care if your device is going to be checked? Hand over your phone. What the hell does it matter? Here, you want to see my phone? There's nothing on there. You want to see pictures of my grandchildren? Have at it. You know what I mean? There's nothing on there. You're not committing a crime. What the hell do you care? Anyway, all right, guys, I'm out of here. I will see you in the next one. Okay, you stay safe, you stay positive, you keep prepping, and as always, fearless. Ciao.